Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 265 for October 11th, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the protester who ran onto the field at a Monday Night Football game is charging the LA Rams players who tackled him with assault. And we have our first NFL head coach firing of the season. In this week's history lesson, it's part 6 of our discussion of the greatest player nicknames in football history. But I'm not here by myself. As usual, across the table from me is my son Adam. Yay!
I'm back.
This is where you talk now.
I know. It's been 2 weeks since I've had to do this. I'm back. I'm mad because clearly this ship cannot run without me.
It was so strange for me to sit in your chair and look across over here at Abram last week. I mean, Abram, I thought, did a great job.
Oh, no, okay. So I'll get that out of the way. Let's get all the good out of the way. My brother-in-law's intro was the stuff of World of Football legend now.
Were you surprised at that?
A little surprised.
I knew I wanted to surprise you with him doing the intro.
He owned it. Good for him. Let's see. What other good did I have? Abram did really good. I think the NFL's Super Pro was a very fascinating story.
Yeah.
I had never heard that.
Yep, he was telling me about that weeks ago, and I thought, hey, save that for.
See, that should have been a little nugget of information. I should have beat him too, but hey, good for him. I think I think he really brought a lot to that.
Well, that's his forte because he's more into comics than football, so we get.
But I walk both worlds. I should have known that, but good for him. That was really good, and. On to the negatives. So, when I got criticized for not letting Aaron speak when he filled in for you, you did the opposite, and you did too much talking, and it ended up biting you in the butt because you were coughing and hacking, and you clearly were running out of steam.
Yeah,
and
I was.
You have to learn to delegate, Randy. That's why I let you write up the show notes. That's why I let you. That's why I let you. Read half of the scores, do some of the work,
and provide you with everything that makes you look good over there. Yeah.
It's a balance. It's a delicate ecosystem here at the World of Football podcast, and you clearly just upset the balance of everything. And here I am to restore that balance. Let's see, what else did we miss? Last week you said the San Diego Chargers, so I want another $1 put in the jar.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I can do that.
What else was there? Abrams should have done some of the scores for you. That's a rookie move, Randy.
Yeah. Well, the scores are my thing.
But he did actually struggle with some names that even I think I would have struggled, so kudos to him for that. So not a whole lot else other than, you guys screwing up the audio stuff. I knew I'd have to fix that. And
well, I knew I had everything set. I knew what I had to do until it came to the little voice meter program that we use to get the two microphones working at the same time. I totally forgot to ask you how to work that, and maybe I didn't because I didn't want you to know that I was going to have anybody on the show with me. But
I mean,
I struggled with that.
I knew you would. I just didn't know who. But you pushed stuff. It was like the kid who pushes the buttons you shouldn't have pushed. Everything was fine the way it was. All you had to do was go through our normal process, which we've done for 265 episodes now. So,
well, each of us now have 264, so you can't hold that over my head that you've done one more episode than I have now.
If anything, the biggest sadness from this is that bit is now dead. I can no longer do that bit.
Thank goodness.
So we are now both the most senior members of this podcast.
Did you want to talk anything about your trip? You went out.
That's my business. Y'all could stay out of my business. I took a trip for a reason. It was a fun trip to California.
You get to see a movie.
Got to see 3 movies while I was out there. Got to meet filmmaker Kevin Smith, which was a lot of fun. I got to see some friends I hadn't seen in years who live out there.
You went to Disneyland?
I went to Disneyland. I got to experience the glory that is Galaxy's Edge at Disney. Fantastic. All the Star Wars stuff is great.
Weren't you counting the number of NFL jerseys you saw?
Okay, so I was telling Dad about this. So I came up with a game. And essentially, when you're on the highway and you're waiting for, to get to your destination, you play the license plate game, or you play several other card games. Well, I think I have developed a game that every football fan needs to when you go on vacation somewhere, especially to a Disneyland or a place that is going to have a lot of people from all parts of the country showing up. And that is playing the how many NFL teams can you spot during the day. So I kind of went back and forth between Disneyland and California Adventure. Mm-hmm. So I counted all of that. And I think my final tally was I counted 16 NFL teams that were represented that day.
Okay.
I was thinking about listing off the whole list for you guys because I was texting my buddy the whole time. Every time I'd see either a hat or a shirt, I'd fill him in, and he was getting tired of it the rest of the day. But I think it started off, so I was the free space. I knew I was wearing my Lions hat.
Sure.
So that was the one Lions thing represented. I saw Las Vegas Raiders Mickey Mouse ears. I definitely saw a Rams Matthew Stafford jersey before I even got into the game. This was all while I was waiting. I saw a dude in a Seahawks shirt who I would eventually talk to at one point and say good game the other day because this was after the Lions.
Because you were at that game.
At the Lions Seahawks. Saw Atlanta Falcons stuff, saw the Cowboys, the Steelers. Then I saw a Detroit Pistons jersey, which I was like, ooh, not part of the game, but I'm going to mention that anyway. I'll get back to the special bonus point. I saw the Eagles represented. I saw the Chargers represented. Not as much Chargers stuff as I would expect.
For being in L.A.?
For being in California. A lot of 49ers. I think I saw more 49ers stuff than anything. Granted, they had played the Monday night before, so I think a lot of fans were repping that stuff. A lot of 49ers, some Arizona Cardinals, quite a few Kansas City Chiefs stuff as well. One Green Bay Packers shirt, one Chicago Bears hat. New York Giants were represented, and then the New Orleans Saints, I think, was the last of it. But the bonus point goes to the fella I saw while I was getting off of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. I looked over and I was like, that looks like a Winnipeg Blue Bombers jersey. And sure enough, it didn't have any numbers on it, but it was the sleeve with the W on it. It was a Winnipeg Blue Bombers jersey. And I was like, oh my God. Of all the things I thought I'd see, definitely didn't expect to see any sort of Canadian football representation here, but that was just the icing on the cake. So that's bonus points for finding CFL stuff there.
Okay.
So next time you go to a place like that, everybody, play the little figure out all the NFL teams you see. Text a willing friend who will put up with your text throughout the day, because eventually he just texted back that his number was no longer in service because it was just it was just one-sided, me just listing off every little thing I saw. So
yeah, instead of the license plate game, I guess you'll have to call it the jersey game.
Well, not even that, because it's more than jersey. It's just the NFL.
The jersey score.
No, it is.
You're trying to see how many jerseys you can see.
Again,
and tallying
it's
up
more
the score.
than jerseys. It's hats. It's shirts. It's any sort of league It was Raiders Mickey Mouse ears, for crying out loud. It was just NFL representation.
Merchandise.
And yeah, what kind of merch do you see? Like, I'm sure there's a rhyme in there. Rhyme merch with perching at Disney. I don't know. How much merch is perched by everybody else? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Somebody else can think of it. Give me time. Okay. I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. You sent us
I definitely needed a break from this show. Good Lord.
Yeah, well, you were going to take your laptop with you, and you were going to do some stuff out there, and I said, no, don't bother doing that. The idea of a vacation is to get away and do nothing but have a good time on your vacation. So you left your laptop here, and I think you are better for it.
Yeah. And the only other football things I did that were related to that was I watched the Monday Night Football game in my hotel room, and then the last day I was there, the Thursday before my flight, I was at like a strip mall, and I was looking for a Matthew Stafford jersey with the Super Bowl patch on it, and nobody had it. So something I'm going to either have to custom order or find online. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, we're glad you had a good time. Glad you made it out there and back safely.
And glad we wasted the first 9 minutes and 6 seconds of this podcast.
Hey, it's our podcast. We can do whatever we want. So now, back to the script.
Uh-huh.
We're coming to you from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show as well as other selected videos. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start this week's scoreboard with a very special score because I went into my fantasy matchup last night in Game of Thrones down by 50 points down by 50 points, and I came out on top by 15, winning 145-130. So suck on that. Thank you, Patrick Mahomes and Devontae Adams, for the games that we're going to eventually talk about on Monday night.
This is a fantasy-free football free zone.
It is not. I was 3-0 this last weekend in fantasy too. Every single league got the wrath of my one team. I guess I shouldn't say that name because
yeah, it's a
my Jared Goff team. Then the Dark Knight team in my Batman fantasy league, and then in the Sports History League, Campbell's kneecap soup took a victory as well. So 3-0 this past weekend, which is purely just dumb, stinking luck. And then moving on now to the NFL. Thursday night, we had the most boring game in the NFL as the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Denver Broncos 12-9 in overtime.
I'm glad I didn't watch that game. I actually recorded it because this is the NFL Prime or Prime Video, and I don't have it. You have it, and you weren't here, so I couldn't watch it. But that's okay. It came on NFL Network in the middle of the night, so I recorded it. And I actually watched it the next morning. And just before I started watching it, I heard something on the news about what a bad game it was, no touchdowns. So I basically FF'd through the entire game, checked out a field goal here and there, and got to the very end and watched the last few minutes of the game. So, yeah, so I knew what was going on, but I didn't stay up to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch any of it. I didn't watch it from my hotel room. I was pretty busy, on vacation.
Sure, yeah.
But I did see that a lot of Broncos fans left before overtime even started.
I did
like
see
2 minutes left or 5 seconds left.
They were
like,
up.
we got places to be. So I know Russell Wilson's under a lot of heat, and I'm sure some of the blame is to put on him, but some of it's got to be on that coaching staff. But man, what a sad game, and people are already upset that we have to sit through the Denver Broncos again on Monday Night Football this upcoming week. So whatever. Moving on, though, we had so this game, I think the London game lived up to the hype. It was the first time in the history of the London game that the NFL has had where it was two teams with, I don't know if it was above 500 records, but these were the best records ever going into.
Yeah, winning records.
Both 3-1 going into this as the New York Giants played the Green Bay Packers. And what a fantastic game this ended up being. The Packers, kind of jumped out to a bit of an early lead, and but the New York Giants, how about this team this year? I mean, clearly better than we all thought they were going to be, and clearly looking like they could be a team to be reckoned with later on down the line. But behind Saquon Barkley, I mean, goodness gracious, that guy was doing everything he could for that team. So good for him. What a heck of an athlete and specimen he is. They got the victory 27-22 over the Green Bay Packers, coming down to that fourth down where Aaron Rodgers threw a pass that got tipped. And then the Giants took a safety just to, punt the ball and waste a little more time. So smart coaching there, I think, on the Giants' behalf and helping them get that victory to take them to 4-1.
Yeah.
All right, I guess Randy's got nothing else to say about that. Moving on.
Well, Rodgers lost. I'm happy. Next game.
All right, the Buffalo Bills absolutely embarrassed the Pittsburgh Steelers 38-3. Josh Allen was putting on a clinic. Every time I feel like we'd watched a little bit of this game, Josh Allen was just throwing up an ungodly awesome pass, and he is got to be the best player in the NFL right now.
Didn't he have 4 touchdowns in the first half?
I think he did. He was getting there, and then his yardage, he was only a couple hundred. After the first half, he was like 200 yards away from breaking the all-time yardage record in a game. So he was having a monster game just in that first half. What a team this Bills team is to be reckoned with. I mean, we know they had that one really rough loss, but man, they're still a scary team.
What about that catch, that touchdown catch where the guy caught it one-handed, and then he had to wrestle it away from the defender?
Oh, that was great.
Oh, that was such an awesome play.
What a lot of amazing, and that guy had a couple of great long catches. I think he had 3 catches all game long for 170 yards. So this dude was catching the bombs.
Yep.
So good for them. That's a very talented Buffalo Bills team. There's already rumors that they're trying to trade for Christian McCaffrey. Could you imagine that on that Buffalo Bills team? Yeah. Goodness gracious.
One more weapon they don't need. They've got all the weapons now.
I mean, they might as well just sign Odell Beckham Jr. at this point. Goodness. But, yeah, so good for the Buffalo Bills. Moving on, oh, boy, I almost did it. The Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, can I take my dollar back out of the jar?
You might have to. The Los Angeles Chargers snuck out of Cleveland with a victory. They almost should have lost this game. We caught the end of this game, and they almost screwed that up, going for I think they went for it, and it was just like, why are you going for it? Like, there's no reason for you to do what you're doing. And it was just some very iffy coaching decisions because they gave the ball to Cleveland in a bad spot on 4th down. Like, if you don't get it, you're giving Cleveland the ball back in a really... They had no timeouts either. That was the other thing. It's like, Cleveland doesn't have timeouts. What are you doing? But luckily for the Chargers, Cleveland went down and kicked a field goal that would have won the game, but it was no good, and that saved LA's hides there. But that some coaching decisions have got to be questioned there in Los Angeles.
Yep. All
right, and I guess we might as well get this one over with. The Detroit Lions fell to the New England Patriots 29-0. All the hype about the Lions having one of the best offenses in the league. Clearly, we already knew their defense wasn't that great. Clearly, that showed up, but that number one offense didn't even bother to get off the bus either. There was just... I don't want to dwell too much on it. It's a real sore spot. I'm not happy. We're going into a bye this week, the Lions are, and they got a lot to work on. I'll say that.
Yeah. How do you go from scoring 45 points one week and having, the top-rated, in points offense in the NFL to getting shut out? I mean, we knew their defense was bad. We knew they were going to be giving up some points. They gave up 29 points, but they couldn't score anything, and they never made a 4th down, and that's been their whole thing this season. Going forward on 4th down, making it most of the time, 9 out of 10 times they get it on 4th down. They didn't get a single one. I think it was 9 times they went for it.
I thought it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
but
it could be. But
it was rough, and
not a one.
Not a one. It was, but it's one of those situations where you look like a genius if you make all those.
Yeah.
And right now, Dan Campbell does not have a favorable look because they didn't get any of them. So the Lions got a week to take that long, hard look in the mirror and get their stuff figured out because they got a tough game next week when they get back.
Well, they did get Amon-Ra St. Brown back for this game, but I don't think he was 100%.
No, he wasn't out there. I feel like he caught the first pass of the game, then we didn't see him again until like the 4th quarter. It was just, I don't know, he was more of a decoy out there, it seemed.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't 100%, they should have just rested him more week.
Maybe they
give
should
him a bye week, bring him back.
Maybe
after
they should have, because last week they clearly didn't need him to score 45 points. So I don't know. It's back to being a typical sad Lions fan.
Well, I've been doing this for 40 plus years, and I've seen it all before. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but man, it's very disappointing when that happens.
All right, moving on. The Houston Texans are no longer the last team with a win. Well, they've got their win, so there are no longer winless teams.
Yep.
They got the victory 13-6 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not a pretty win, but a win's a win.
Yep.
So good for Houston. I can't remember the last time we've only gone 5 weeks in and been like, there we go. All the winless teams are out of it because it seems like every year there's a team that's 0-5,
it did seem
0-10,
like
0-11.
It did seem like it came kind of early this season. I think last year,
fine.
the year
We're
before,
perfect.
it's halfway through the season and somebody still hasn't gotten a win yet.
All right.
And
now we just got to see if the other shoe drops for the winning. The Eagles being the only undefeated team, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see.
The Chicago Bears let one slip through their fingers as the Minnesota Vikings got a victory 29-22 over their division rivals. I didn't really see much from this game other than the Bears were out of it for most of that game. They clawed their way back, took the lead, and then Minnesota just closed it out. Another exciting game if you're a Seahawks fan, but this time you're on the losing end as the Saints got the 39-32 victory over the Seahawks. The Jets, how about that? Hanging up 40 points on the Miami Dolphins, 40-17. Nothing from that game for me.
Yeah, I didn't know how Miami was going to be, without Tua in the lineup, and no telling, how long he's going to be out. But I expected them to probably lose this week, but I didn't think the Jets would put up 40 points on them.
Yeah, we could have said that. We could have said that about the Lions last week.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Atlanta Falcons 21-15. The Tennessee Titans got a win over the Commanders thanks to a last-second interception, 21-17.
Wait, go back to the Tampa Bay game. You weren't going to mention the sack on Brady that he complained to the official, and the official finally called it roughing the passer.
That slipped out of my mind because I'm tired of these terrible referee calls.
After he tried to kick the guy that tackled him, what a display.
I did see that the NFL is going to look at this. The roughing the passer calls have been really egregious this year. There's been so much just like ticky-tacky. Like, I get it. Like, you hit any part of the helmet of a quarterback, it should probably be flagged. I get it. Whatever. That's the rule. But there's some stuff where there were two very similar sacks. I think one in that Monday night game last night and then that sack on Brady, which looked kind of similar, not too dissimilar, but just one getting flagged and the other isn't. There is no consistency on what is actually roughing the passer, and that's what the NFL needs to fix.
I think that should be a reviewable play. I think they should at least
like a targeting.
They should look at that, and let the officials, in LA or wherever they're at, take a look at that and make a help them make a judgment. Was that really, these things happen so fast on the field. The on-field officials cannot always get it right, and that is a very important play. The roughing the passer that should be looked at by the replay official.
What would fix all this? A stinking NFL command center just making all these reviews. Get it out of these referees' hands. You know what? If they call it on the field, then great. But it should be sent to the league. Anytime there's like an egregious play, I think a lot of these penalties probably should be reviewed. I think there should be some like holding, whatever. Those should probably be non-reviewable. But then I think within the last 5 to 10 minutes or 5 minutes of like a half, maybe we should start looking at it, because that's in the critical moments there. That's where a lot of these are happening. There needs to be some sort of, there was an egregious pass interference call like that NFC game several years ago between the Rams and the Saints, remember? That pass interference call that I don't think got called that should have been called. We need to just let the league sit down and just make that call. It has to be done. There needs to be some sort of consistency, because there's clearly no consistency when these referees are making these calls, and it is really hurting the outcome of a lot of games. It is changing the tide of a lot of games. It is just bonkers how some of these, one referee will be like, "Oh, let them play, it's fine," and some will be like, "No, we're calling absolutely everything." So consistency. That's all we want, is some consistency.
Well, you mentioned a command center. You mean like the CFL has, where they?
Yes, we've been saying that for years, that the NFL needs to adopt that type of.
There's so many things that the CFL is doing right up there in Canada that the NFL should be looking at, saying, how can we incorporate that into our game? Because they're doing it right up there.
I think the NFL needs to relegate the last place team in the NFL every year with the best team in the CFL the year before. That's what I think. I don't think that'll go over well.
If they're not even going to play a Pro Bowl anymore, they're not going to put the CFL players up against NFL players.
Well, you never know. See, then we lightly touched on the Commanders game. I do want to talk about that, because being consistently, I feel bad for Carson Wentz. He threw that last-second interception again. Then he got called out by his head coach. It's just like, this guy, Carson Wentz, seems like he's one of the nicest guys on the planet, but he just cannot catch a break on the football field with any of these teams. He's always the scapegoat for these teams that just, I get it. He's made a couple of bad decisions. That interception was bad, but he didn't make that play call. Maybe you guys should have ran it. Maybe you should have ran a better play, and he wouldn't have had to have forced the ball in there that got intercepted. So, I don't know. So, whatever. Moving on. The San Francisco 49ers pretty much routed the Carolina Panthers 37-15. Pause for Randy. Nope. Okay.
Well, we're going to talk about the firing of the Carolina coach in a little bit.
Okay. Their coach got fired after that game, everybody. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Arizona Cardinals in those all-black uniforms 20-17.
Ugly uniforms.
I still don't like the black uniforms on the Cardinals. I actually don't mind the helmet with that flaky red in there, but they did look like the Atlanta Falcons. That's my big thing from that. Stick to the all-red. I think they should have gone to a red helmet maybe. But moving on from there, the Dallas Cowboys under Cooper Rush. Unbelievable. 22-10 over the Los Angeles Rams. Just, how is it that Cooper Rush has now looked like an all-star quarterback?
I don't know. The product of Central Michigan University, playing well for the Cowboys, undefeated as a starter in the NFL. Who saw this coming? Now, what happens if he's got them undefeated when Dak Prescott comes back?
I think they're still going to go.
Are they going to throw Dak back in there?
I think they're still going to go back to Dak, but that just means...
And then their season's going to go in the toilet.
No, but that just means the absolute moment of doubt where you feel like Dak cannot help you win that game, he's going to get yanked for this kid. That's what it's going to be. And Jerry Jones can, even though he doesn't have a mustache, he mustache twirls more than anybody in the world, and he doesn't even have one. But he's just salivating to keep Cooper Rush in there now. You have to stay with the hot hand, you'd think. That's the other thing too. It's like, I feel bad for this kid because he's doing great, but because Dak is the starting quarterback, he's going to get, when he comes back, he's going to get to play. But man, to be on that short of a leash, though, that's also, I don't know, I just hate that situation. But, I mean, hey, good for Cooper Rush, though. He's doing what he's got to do, though. He's coming in and he's winning games. That's all that matters. He's 4-0 as their starter in this league.
Yeah. Could it be another situation like the 72 Dolphins where Bob Greasy got hurt midway through the season or so, and they put Earl Morrall in, and he kept them undefeated and into the playoffs, and finally when the Super Bowl came along, they put Greasy back in.
And he won it.
So, I mean,
or will it be more
conventional wisdom would have said leave Morrall in there. He's got the hot hand.
Or will it be a Tom Brady situation where Tom Brady comes in for the veteran Drew Bledsoe and just never lets it go? He just keeps winning enough games to stay the starter.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to find out. All right. And then apparently a very fun and exciting Sunday night game. I didn't get to see too much from this other than the fact that the Ravens, Justin Tucker, doing what he does best, nailing field goals when he needs to, defeating the Ravens 19-17 in this one. Any notes from this one from you?
No, I don't think so.
Nope. Okay, well then moving on to last night's exciting Monday night game where the Chiefs defeated the Raiders 30-29. The Raiders missed a 2-point conversion that would have gotten them the lead there towards the end of the game. But, man, what a shootout this game ended up being. The Chiefs were even down by 17 points at one point.
Yeah.
And that's where Patrick Mahomes just thrives. He throws 4 touchdown passes to Travis Kelce to dig my fantasy team out of a hole. And then Devontae Adams looked awesome out there. A couple of big bombs, like a 50-yard touchdown catch and a 40-yard touchdown catch. That dude, and even the one catch they said was a no catch, when he kind of toe tapped.
Yeah, on the sideline.
I agree with the call, but man, what a heck of an effort this dude put in there. So Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in the league. And then he goes off and he pushes a camera guy at the end of the game. So he'll probably get, if he's at least getting a big old fat fine.
Sure.
I don't know if he'll get suspended or not, but yeah, not a great look. I mean, when you lose a game like that. But
yeah, and then there was the controversial roughing the passer.
Another roughing the passer call during this game.
And you watch that over and over again, and the I forget the name of the guy that sacked him or that got the penalty, but he come up behind him, he knocks the ball loose, so before he ever lands on him on the ground, the ball is loose and he scoops it up with his hand, and so he has possession of it. So at this point, is he really a quarterback anymore? And, he doesn't have control of the ball anymore. So to me, that's not roughing the passer because he's not in a passing mode. He's already fumbled it. He clearly lost control of the ball. The defender had it in his possession on the way down to the ground, and that should not be roughing the passer.
Yeah. Again, consistency. That's all we want is consistency.
Yep. And that great play at the end, where the last play for Oakland, when the two receivers,
Las Vegas, they're not Oakland. Put $1 in the jar.
Yes, money going in, money coming out. When they ran into each other, they were running crossing patterns, and they ran into each other and knocked each other down.
Yeah, that was a rough scene.
Jeez.
Because I was at least hoping that make it interesting, Las Vegas, but man, and that made it interesting, seeing two guys, teammates, just run right into each other.
Yep.
And that's it for the NFL scores this week. Moving on, because we're running out of digital tape. The CFL, it was Week 18, Thanksgiving weekend up there in Canada. Friday night saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 18-14. Saskatchewan was up 14-9 at halftime, but Hamilton shut out the Roughriders in the second half 9-0, thanks to 3 field goals from Seth Small to secure the victory. Hamilton quarterback Dane Evans completed 11 passes for 214 yards and scored a rushing touchdown, while running back Wes Hills ran the ball 25 times for 132 yards. For Saskatchewan, quarterback Cody Fajardo completed 24 passes for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Kean Schaefer-Baker caught 6 passes for 93 yards and a touchdown.
One of the great names in the CFL, Kean Schaefer-Baker.
Saturday saw the Toronto Argonauts defeat the British Columbia Lions 23-20. This is the 100th regular season meeting for the two teams. Good for them. Mm-hmm. Toronto led 13-7 going into the half, but British Columbia took a 20-16 lead late in the fourth quarter, but Toronto scored on a 37-yard touchdown pass from this other great name in CFL, quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson. He completed a pass to Tommy Neild with under 3 minutes to play to take the 23-20 lead. British Columbia then missed a game-tying 41-yard field goal with under 2 minutes to play. When it bounced off the right upright, you hate to see it.
Yep.
Another doink.
Yep.
But for Toronto, Bethel Thompson completed 27 passes for 352 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver McKeith Ambles caught 8 passes for 120. Boy.
Yeah, I got 1,121 yards.
That's a lot for a game. It's got to be 100. It's
I think
either
it's
112 or 121.
Yeah, one of those two.
He caught a lot of yards. For British Columbia, quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. completed 21 passes for 258 yards and 2 touchdowns in the loss. All right, on Saturday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Edmonton Elks 48-11. Winnipeg clinches the West Division title and ties a franchise record with 14 regular season wins. Winnipeg used 3 quarterbacks in the blowout victory, and each one threw at least a touchdown. So we're going to run through those quarterbacks right now. Quarterback Zach Caleros completed 15 passes for 241 yards and 3 touchdowns, while quarterbacks Drew Brown and Dakota Prukop each threw a touchdown pass. So they at least 3 quarterbacks. There you go. 5 touchdowns altogether. Wide receiver Dalton Schoen caught 7 passes for 162 yards and 3 touchdowns. While on Edmonton's side, quarterback Taylor Cornelius completed 11 passes for 137 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Dylan Mitchell caught 6 passes for 107 yards and a touchdown. Then Monday, Thanksgiving Day itself in Canada, saw the Ottawa Red Blacks defeat the Montreal Alouettes 24-18, a game I'm pretty sure you were watching, Randy.
I was watching it yesterday.
Montreal led 15-7 at halftime, but could not hold on to that lead going into the fourth quarter, as Ottawa quarterback Nick Arbuckle completed 28 passes for 229 yards, while running back Caleb Evans ran for 2 touchdowns. Montreal quarterback Trevor Harris completed 30 passes for 338 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Eugene Lewis caught 9 passes for 108 yards as well as a touchdown. Montreal could have clinched the playoff spot with a win. They will get another chance next week in a rematch with the Red Blacks in Ottawa. On bye this week, the Calgary Stampeders, who will play at home against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And then looking at the CFL standings, we have 4 of our 6 playoff spots decided. In the East, the Toronto Argonauts have clinched with a 9-6 record. They are followed by the 7-8 Montreal Alouettes, who are still looking for that playoff spot.
Yeah.
The 5-10 Hamilton Tiger Cats, and then the 4-11 Ottawa Red Blacks. In the West, you got that Winnipeg Blue Bomber team we were just talking about that clinched the whole West, so that everything runs through Winnipeg now. 14-2 they are this season. Also clinched the playoff spot already, the British Columbia Lions at 10-5, followed by the 10-5 Calgary Stampeders, also clinching that playoff spot, mind you. Then you have the 6-10 Saskatchewan Roughriders, then the 4-12 Edmonton Elks, and that'll be it for the CFL.
Boy, give your voice a break. That's a lot of scores between NFL and CFL.
It's a good thing I got somebody here, because then they can read some scores. That's the whole point of having a partner on this show.
Well, hopefully I'll get through these all these college scores.
Good
for
luck.
Week 6.
Your voice should be very well rested.
Without cracking. All right, let's give it a go.
You don't even have any water left. There's all ice in your cup. What are you doing?
I've been trying to get ready for this little segment. All right, let's see. The number 1 ranked Alabama defeated Texas A&M at 24-20. Number 2 Georgia over Auburn 42-10. Number 3 Ohio State over Michigan State 49-20. Number 4 Michigan over Indiana 31-10 in a game that we watched. Number 18 UCLA upset number 11 Utah 42-32. South Carolina upset number 13 Kentucky 24-14. Notre Dame upset number 16 BYU 28-20. Arizona State upset number 21 Washington 45-38. And Eastern Michigan defeated our beloved Western Michigan Broncos 45-23. Taking a look at the military academies, it was Utah State over Air Force 34-27. Navy over Tulsa 53-21. And number 15 Wake Forest over Army 45-10. From here on out, it's 3 random scores from all the different divisions in college football in the United States and Canada. In the FCS, it's Harvard over Cornell. I think that's 34 or 36-28. I think one of my numbers didn't come through, but it was Harvard over Cornell. North Dakota State over Indiana State, 31-26. Northern Arizona over Cal Poly, 31-29. In Division II, it was Grand Valley State over American International, 45-3. Michigan Tech squeaked by Wayne State, 35-34, and Shepherd over Lock Haven, 72-7. In Division III, Olivet College over Kalamazoo College, 41-17. It was Trine over Adrian, 27-21, and Randolph-Macon over Everett, 55-7. In the NAIA, it was St. Francis of Indiana shutting out Madonna of Michigan, 53-0. Number 13, Georgetown of Kentucky over Pikeville of Kentucky, 40-20. And number 9, College of Idaho upset number 19. No, that's not.
Oh my
upset.
God! I was gonna say, do you have a brain fart? What's going on?
Number 9, College of Idaho over number 19, Montana Tech, 27-24. So many scores. National Junior College Division, Iowa Western shut out Snow College, 26-0. That dropped Snow College's record to 4-2 this year. It was Garden City over Independence, 17-7, and it was Coffeyville over Iowa Central, 47-30. U Sports up in Canada, it was Windsor over York, 33-10. Laurier over Waterloo, 43-22, and Western Ontario over Toronto, 56-21. Finally, in the Canadian Junior Football League, the Valley Huskers defeated the Kamloops Broncos, 32-29. The West Shore Rebels over Vancouver Island Raiders, 29-9. And the Okanagan Sun over the Prince George Kodiaks, 54-7. And that is it for NFL, CFL, and college football and this week's World of Football scoreboard.
Woo!
Yeah, I thought that one college was Laurier, L-A-U R-I-E-R, but it's Laurier. I heard somebody pronounce it on a CFL game because one of the players went to college there. And I said, oh, that's how you pronounce that. It must be French, obviously. All right, so let's move on to some NFL news. And we hinted at this one already. The Carolina Panthers have fired head coach Matt Rule. He was in his third season, and he signed a 7-year, $62 million guaranteed contract back in 2020. So they still owe him $40 million that he's going to be receiving over the next few years.
Yeah, he's going to be making $800,000 a month for the next 2 years. So
for being fired.
Man, oh man, what a deal that is.
Yeah. He went 1-4 this year, and his overall record there in Carolina was 11-27, with no playoff appearances in the last 3 years. Steve Wilkes has been named the interim coach over there. 2.5 seasons. It's I just don't know about that.
I mean, the leashes are short in the NFL, and these contracts. I mean, we see all these years that attach to them, and half the time we don't even see coaches make it to the end of those contracts.
And you give them a guaranteed contract, couldn't you at least keep them around? I mean, if you're going to do that, you would at least want to be keeping them around for half of that contract.
Right. Now you're just paying a dude to sit at home.
Yeah. So what does this say for guaranteed contracts? They're stupid.
No, I think, hold on, you get what you negotiate. So I think for Matt Rule, good for you. It's like, hey, look, I'm going to do everything I can. You give me my guaranteed money. And if you have to end up firing me, all the better. I can just sit at home and make that money. Now I don't have to go into the office.
That's good for him, but it's not good for the team.
Hey, that's on them. But I do think the guaranteed contract, if that was the guy they wanted, you got to sign that guaranteed contract. So either you have to help that coach build that team around them so you don't get to that 1-4 point, or you should have been under the understanding that, look, we're kind of sort of under a rebuild. Like, they were moving on from Cam Newton when he got there.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew it was going to take time. Like, what'd you expect? Rebuilds do not just happen overnight. It does take seasons. Some teams might get lucky and, in a year or two, they get everything turned around. They get all the pieces in place. But a lot of time, it takes 2-3 seasons. You're barely into this year. You're 5 weeks in, and already you're pulling the cord. Like, you couldn't even wait till a bye week to or see how he bounces back some more. Like, you're not in a great quarterback position there as it is between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Not a great position,
And Baker Mayfield is going to be out for a couple of weeks with a high ankle
sprain. Sam Darnold's still on IR.
So now they got no coach, they got no quarterback. They
got a quarterback,
but they got a guaranteed contract sitting out there they're going to be paying for.
Former XFL star as their quarterback.
Is he?
From the Roughnecks. Blanking on his name.
Roughnecks. You mean
the Houston Roughnecks?
The Houston Gamblers.
No,
you said
XFL.
Oh, XFL. Okay.
Yes,
I
did not say
I was thinking USFL.
Go back and listen to the tape.
Yeah. You're right.
Gosh.
I don't need to throw the red flag on that.
PJ Walker, I believe. I think is their quarterback now. I think he did all right.
Oh, yeah, I liked him in the XFL.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. They got a quarterback. He's just not as notable as the other quarterbacks. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, so I'm not in favor of these guaranteed contracts. At least not anything that big.
For players,
or for coaches.
I mean,
look how it's biting them in the butt. Carolina has got to pay that contract. The Browns are paying that big contract to what's his name isn't even on the
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, him. So guaranteed contracts are I don't know. I'm not in favor of them.
I am the opposite. I am very much in favor of guaranteed contracts.
Okay, very, very good. You go think that way. You're wrong.
You're wrong.
The protester who ran onto the field during the Monday Night Football game between the Rams and the 49ers has filed a lawsuit complaint, or an assault complaint against the two L.A. players who tackled him on the field. Don't you feel sorry for this guy?
No, you ran out onto the field like an idiot.
Yep.
You deserve.
You
should
get
know
everything
full well.
you deserve.
You're either getting tackled by a security guard.
Yep.
You're either getting tasered by a security guard.
Yep.
Or you're going to be met by the brick wall that is an NFL linebacker.
Yep.
Like you don't. Like you know the risk.
Yeah.
You know the risk on a football field during a football game.
Yep.
Where
national TV.
On national TV, where there are people in pads and helmets that weigh 250 pounds of nothing but pure muscle and rage. What are you thinking?
I heard
you dumb protesters.
I heard that there was a second guy that they were able to stop before he actually got on the field. But I guess two guys jumped jumped down from the stands, and the one guy had the pink flare and he's running around. Oh, and he also burned himself with the flare too. So he brought that on himself. But no, you go out on the field, you interrupt a game like that, and you get what you deserve. I don't feel sorry for him. I think the players are in their right to help the security guards. The security guards couldn't catch him. They were having a tough time, and good for the players that tackled him. I was happy to see that. So yeah, I don't think this lawsuit's going to go anywhere because he still needs to be charged with his own crime before he can charge somebody else with a crime for stopping him for doing his crime.
It's ridiculous. All these protesters. Come on, guys.
If you want to protest before the game, for the people going in, fine. I'm not saying they don't have a right to protest, but I don't think they have a right to interrupt an NFL game to do it.
I think if you're going to do that, the risk. You're already going to get arrested for.
You're going to get caught. You're not going to get out of the stadium.
But you have to recognize that
this could happen.
There's a likely possibility that a 300-pound offensive or defensive lineman may turn me into a puddle of goo in the middle of a football field.
And we know that's true because we saw it happen.
Yep. How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips? There you go.
Oh my gosh. Bringing back the...
There you go. That was just for you.
An Ernest Scared Stupid quote. That's good.
You're welcome.
Very good. Let's see. In some college news, Syracuse University is going to be honoring Jim Brown, Floyd Little, and Ernie Davis when they unveiled them in their Ring of Honor on October 15th at halftime of a game against NC State. They were elected to the Ring of Honor back in 2020, but the official unveiling was delayed until now due to COVID. Now, all three of them wore number 44 for the school. Jim Brown played from 54 to 56. He just went on to become the all-time greatest running back in the NFL of that period. Floyd Little went on to an NFL career where he had a great career with the Denver Broncos. And Ernie Davis, the first African-American to win the Heisman Trophy. And unfortunately, he passed away at a very young age due to leukemia, but he was going to be lining up in the backfield with Jim Brown for the Cleveland Browns, and unfortunately that never happened. So all three guys from that school are going to be officially unveiled into the Ring of Honor October 15th. So looking forward to that. Great honor for those three. Eli's Places, Season 2, Episode 9 on ESPN Plus. I guess this was the season finale. I didn't know that. I thought maybe they had a 10th episode. But this one was called The Granddaddy of Them All, and he talked about the Rose Bowl, and he actually talked with Vince Young from the University of Texas and Matt Leinart from USC about their classic 2006 Rose Bowl game for the national championship. I think you and I watched that game.
One of the greatest college football games I've ever seen.
Yep. So that was a good episode. They talked quite a bit about what's happened to the two of them since then, and they've been friends pretty much ever since. But boy, they don't. I mean, at least Leinart doesn't like to talk about that.
Oh
game.
yeah, why would you?
Yeah. But then after that episode, they had a preview of an upcoming show called Peyton and Eli's Spooky Adventure, and this is going to feature Jerome Bettis.
Sounds like a Halloween special.
Yes, it is, because they get Jerome Bettis to join them, and they go into a locker room, and there are 3 Ghostbusters uniforms for the 3 of them. Something about the ghost of George Gipp has been haunting Notre Dame Stadium or something like that. So this is like their Halloween special coming up, and that's going to premiere on October 23rd on, I'm assuming, ESPN+. So, like I said, it's going to have a Ghostbuster theme. And then while I was searching for some other stuff, I ran across something called the Eli Manning Show on YouTube. Did you know that he had another show?
I had no idea.
I did not. And no, so now I want to watch some of these episodes. But yeah, he's got his own show where he does, it's kind of like Eli's Places, but not really. So I've got to watch a few episodes to check it out. So maybe I'll have a report on some of those next week if I can find a bunch of them on YouTube. I know of 2 of them at least, but I think there's got to be more. Let's see. Arena Football TV on YouTube. They posted the Arena Bowl from 2007, Arena Bowl 21, between the Columbus Destroyers and the San Jose SaberCats. Boy, I had forgotten that Columbus actually made it to an Arena Bowl.
Yeah, I believe that was the season. They were like 7-9 going into the playoffs there. They had a couple of big upsets in the playoffs. I think that's when they took out the Desperados in the first round. I think I remember watching that game because that was a great game where they had 2 touchdowns that bounced off of the nets. That they, then they beat Dallas, and I forget who they beat in the second round. But they got all the way to the Arena Bowl, and I won't say what the results were if you've never seen this game. I mean, we've all, you can look it up. But I mean,
yeah.
And just to get to that championship game, I mean, it was good for them, and they were kind of like, at that time they had become, because I think Grand Rapids was Grand Rapids all done by then?
No, they were still playing.
Grand Rapids, so they were kind of like the second, smallest market in the Arena League, I think, at the time. So it was cool.
Another Cinderella story.
Yeah, so another Cinderella story. Of course, going in 7-9 though, so it was cool to see that happening. But at the same time, it was oh man, we got a 7-9 team going to the Arena Bowl. Dang.
Well, this game was actually played in New Orleans, and the guys in the booth were Mike Golick and Mike Greenberg from Mike and Mike. They actually called the Arena Bowl that season, so you might want to check that out. It was pretty interesting. Like I said, I had totally forgotten that the Columbus Destroyers actually played in an Arena Bowl in their team history. Okay, today's birthdays. Happy birthday today to quarterback Steve Young, who turns 61 years old today. Played his college football at BYU and started his career in the USFL with the Los Angeles Express between 1984 and 1985. He then went to the NFL, where he played for the Tampa Bay Bucks for 2 seasons in 85 and 86. And then he went to the San Francisco 49ers, where he played from 1987 to 1999. And he led the team to a win in Super Bowl 29. He's a current ESPN analyst on Monday Night Countdown. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2001 and the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2005. The other birthday today, somebody that we're familiar with, quarterback Dutch Clark, born on this date in 1906 and passed away in 1978 at the age of 71. He played his college football at Colorado College. He played for the Portsmouth Spartans in 1931 and 1932, and then with the Detroit Lions from 1934 to 1938. He led Detroit to the 1935 NFL title. They beat the Giants that year in Detroit, if you can believe that. He also was the head coach of the Lions from 1937 to 1938, and also the Los Angeles Rams from 1939 to 1942. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame's inaugural class in 1963. His number 7 has been retired by the Lions. That's why Matt Stafford couldn't get it when he came out of college and had to switch to number 9. And he's a member of the Pride of the Lions, which is our version of the Ring of Honor in Detroit. So happy birthday, Steve Young and Dutch Clark. We didn't have any obituaries this week. I couldn't find any, so we're going to skip right over that. And we're going to move on to this week's history lesson, unless you've seen something on your phone that
Nope.
we need to talk about. Okay.
All good.
All right, well, let's go on to this week's history lesson, which is part 6 of our discussion on the greatest player nicknames in football history.
How many parts are we doing this in?
I think I've got one more week to go.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Well,
I really milked that one.
Well, we're going to switch to some other nicknames after that, but I've got enough, at least on my list right now, for one more week, so we'll probably be doing this again next week. But the first name on my list this week is quarterback Slingin' Sammy Baugh. What a great nickname.
That is a good one.
A prolific quarterback passer in college and in the NFL. He earned the nickname from a sports writer while in college at TCU. He went on to play 16 NFL seasons, all with the Washington Redskins from 1937 to 1952. And he was the league's career passing leader in yards when he retired after the 1952 season. He was a 2-time NFL champ in 1937 and 1942. He was also the head coach of the AFL's New York Titans in 1960 and 61, and the Houston Oilers in 1964. He was also a member of the inaugural Pro Football Hall of Fame class in 1963. Slingin' Sammy Baugh. You got to like the alliteration.
That's great.
All right, the next one is halfback Byron Whizer White. Received the nickname from a sports journalist while in college at the University of Colorado. The 4th overall pick in 1938's NFL draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates, but he only played one season with the Pirates in 1938. After that, he went to Oxford, England, and became a Rhodes Scholar. And then he returned to the NFL to play for the Detroit Lions in 1940 and 1941. But this guy had a little higher ambitions. He went on to be a war hero in World War II, and he was also appointed to the Supreme Court in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy.
Not bad.
So Byron Whizer White. The next one here is one that may not be familiar to everybody, but it's quarterback Jared Lorenzen.
Oh.
He had several nicknames: the Hefty Lefty, the Pillsbury Throwboy, J-Load, and the Round Mound of Touchdowns. He played his college football at the University of Kentucky, and he was with the New York Giants in 2006 and 2007. He actually won a Super Bowl ring as the backup to Eli Manning. At 6'4" and 285 pounds, Lorenzen was the heaviest quarterback in NFL history. He also played for the Northern Kentucky River Monsters of the Ultimate Indoor Football League.
And I think
there's a great picture of him in his uniform.
We might have seen him play.
I was thinking about that. I don't think we did.
Maybe we didn't, but I remember either seeing, because he was in.
He played for a couple of different indoor leagues.
Yeah,
this was the main one I remember him with.
Yeah,
And the name was so cool, the Northern Kentucky River Monsters.
Yeah, it was a great team name, but yeah, the Hefty Lefty is the one name I always kind of remember hearing. But cool to kind of pull that one out. I never realized he was a backup for Eli Manning, though. I have to go back and look at some of that.
Yeah, well, if you saw him, I have a great picture of him that maybe you can use for the graphic for this week's show. He looks a little like William the Refrigerator Perry running around looking to throw a pass. That's how big this guy was. Yeah. But just some great nicknames there. Hefty Lefty, Pillsbury Throwboy, J-Load, the Round Mound of Touchdowns. All right, next is running back Charles Follis. His nickname was the Black Cyclone from Worcester. I have always loved this nickname. He earned his nickname while playing high school football in Worcester, Ohio. The first African-American pro football player ever. He played for the Shelby, Ohio Athletic Club, which was later renamed the Shelby Blues, from 1902 to 1906. And he actually began getting paid $10 a game in 1904. That's where he got the distinction as being the first pro African-American football player. He also played in the Negro Baseball League for the Starlight Champs out of Cleveland and the Cuban Giants in New York City. I think it was New York City, maybe just New York State, not sure. But he died of pneumonia in 1910 at the young age of just 31 years old. So, tragic story there. But, yeah, the whole town of Worcester, Ohio has really embraced his legacy coming from there. And they have several displays. The high school stadium is named after him. It's called Follis Field. They have a nice little plaque outside the stadium that I've seen. And yeah, like I said, his childhood home is has a historical marker by it, and the site where his original high school field was. So yeah, the whole town has just really embraced his legacy. So the Black Cyclone from Worcester, Charles Follis. And finally, on today's history lesson, linebacker Thomas Hollywood Henderson. I mean, even if you don't follow football, everybody knows the name Hollywood Henderson. He played his college football at HBCU Langston University in Langston, Oklahoma. He was the 18th overall pick in the 1975 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys. He was given the nickname by Cowboys teammate Robert Newsom after Henderson showed up for practice one day in a limo wearing a fur coat. I guess if you do that, they're going to start calling you Hollywood. And
I would probably call him Hollywood too.
He only played for Dallas for 5 seasons, from 1975 to 1979, which I thought was strange because I thought he played a lot longer than that. But only 5 seasons, and in 1980, he finished his playing career with the San Francisco 49ers and the Houston Oilers. He won Super Bowl VII and appeared in 2 other Super Bowls with the Cowboys. So, Thomas Hollywood Henderson. So, yeah, to review the 5 names we had this week, it was quarterback Slingin' Sammy Baugh, halfback Byron Whizer White, quarterback Jared Lorenzen, running back Charles Follis, and linebacker Thomas Hollywood Henderson. All great names. And we've got a few more for next week.
Yeah.
And we'll finish up our list of the greatest player nicknames in football history. All right, we're going to move on to upcoming events calendar. Saturday, October 29th, the CFL regular season comes to an end. There are only 3 weeks left.
We're almost there.
So, can Winnipeg get 2 more wins or at least 1 more win to set a new franchise record? If they win their last 2 games, that's 16-2 on the season for an 18-game season.
That'd be good for them.
Unbelievable, yeah.
On the way to 3 straight Grey Cups.
Yeah, it would be 3 straight Grey Cups. I don't know who's going to beat them, but
I don't know either at this point.
I'm going to love watching to see who's going to try. Sunday, October 30th, Denver Broncos versus the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley Stadium in London. That's going to be a 9:30 a.m. start as usual from London, and this game is going to be only shown on ESPN+.
So get your subscriptions in now.
Yeah. Sunday, November 13th, Seattle Seahawks versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Munich, Germany. That's going to be a 9:30 a.m. Start for that game, and that's going to be on NFL Network. Sunday, November 20th, the CFL Grey Cup Championship game is going to take place that evening in Saskatchewan. You can find that game on ESPN here in the States. And finally, Monday, November 21st, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Arizona Cardinals in Mexico City. 8:15 kickoff, and that is the Monday Night Football game on ESPN.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about? Anything
Nope.
about your trip to California?
No, I think we got it all out there.
Okay.
I think I said my piece.
Okay.
Back in the swing of things for me, I guess.
Like I said, it was strange being on that side of the table, doing what you do. I did a satisfactory job as far as getting everything set up and getting it posted and all that. You handle all the YouTube stuff, but I did what I could and enjoyed having Abram over here with me. He was a lot of fun to work with. So, but I'm glad you're back and glad we can continue this. And you're over there on that side, and I'm back here on my regular side.
You're just glad that I can post your show from last week onto the YouTube after the show's done.
Have you got that done yet?
It'll go up with this show today.
Oh, okay.
So you're gonna have 2 shows on YouTube today.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow us on Twitter. The address is @TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this very podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the YouTube channel, as we were just talking about, where we will have 2 shows up for you today, since the audio version you could find in your normal places last week, but the YouTube, since Randy doesn't know how to do all that apparently, which I tried to show him how to.
Too much technology.
He didn't do it. But anyway, there'll be 2 shows up today. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so do a search for that in your YouTube search bar. Subscribe to us. Watch a video. rate that video, leave a review, give us a like. All of that stuff helps us out. Even comments, we try to respond to as many people as we can. What's been fun is your interactions on our pick videos, which we'll be working on after this show, and then it'll go up tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday is usually when we try to get the picks videos up. Time depending.
So if you'd like to get in on that, watch our picks video and then submit on our YouTube page your picks
before the kickoff of the Thursday night game. We try to keep an eye out for the timestamps. I know that's not a lot of time,
but send them to us, and we'll keep score and see how you did compared to us.
We've been having fun with people reaching out to us.
Yeah, so there's some good pickers out there.
Yep. So subscribe, rate, review, like I said, all that junk. Let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week.